In this episode, we are exploring the impact the data cloud is having on marketing analytics. This is top of mind for Fortune 500 executives to small business owners. We are going big, crossing continents from New York to London. You ready? Let's get into it. Using data to make better decisions is fundamental in order to be successful in today's ever-increasing digital landscape. We went all over the world to explore this topic, and along the way, we were joined by special guests and industry experts who are using marketing analytics to make better decisions and identify trends. Let's hear from Snowplow.
Data's been really important in marketing in particular for forever, since direct mail marketers started using data to do better targeting. But the imperative to use data today, and behavioral data particularly, is so much greater, and there are really three reasons. The first is the opportunities that we have today we didn't have before. Companies have the opportunity to create first-party data, rich data that describes customers doing things that's much, much richer and more granular and more predictive than they were able to do 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. There's great tooling out there to take that data and combine it with third-party data, and tooling to build intelligence. When I think about the ecosystem of tools in the machine learning and artificial intelligence space, and to store and compute on that data using platforms like Snowflake. And then you've got the opportunity to activate that data across all different channels with things like reverse ETL platforms. So there's definitely opportunity today that there wasn't before. But at the same time, there's a competitive pressure to do things. The bar keeps rising. Marketing is a competitive sport.
And it's not slowing down anytime soon.
It's not slowing. There's only one direction things are going. When you're marketing, you're literally competing for consumers' attention with every one of your competitors, and actually all kinds of other businesses in the world. Like, if you think about all the draws on our attention today, it's getting harder and more expensive to get in front of users and put messages in front of them. And data's a key role, behavioral data's a key role to figure out who are the right people to target and what's the right message to target them with. If your competitors are doing that better than you, they're going to be grabbing share and spending less than you, and that's very, very scary. So there's strong competitive pressure, and then there's pressure from our customers and audience, the people we want to market to. They're getting more savvy, they're taking more control. They determine what app they're in at any one time or what channel they're watching. They've never had so much choice, and if businesses aren't communicating to them with messages that are relevant and content that's meaningful, they're going to zone out and go somewhere else. So the pressure on marketers and on organizations in general to use this data is just enormous, whilst the opportunities are greater than they've ever been before.
The question one must ask themselves: are you efficiently unifying, modeling, analyzing, and activating all the data you need to drive impactful marketing campaigns and customer experiences? Now let's get some advice how to answer that question. Let's jump back to New York to hear from High Touch and Warner Music Group.
One thing to think about is, as your go-to-market teams are asking you for more and more data to optimize their processes, what I'd encourage you to think about is, do we already have the infrastructure and the data necessary in order to help those teams? And if so, do we really need to set up completely new systems, like completely new marketing clouds, in order to serve those teams? And oftentimes the answer is no. Oftentimes the answer is that Snowflake actually can serve that need, as long as you empower Snowflake with a pipeline out like High Touch, and really just enable the data and the analysis that you've already done. That honestly simplifies your company rather than makes it more complex, because then you are not adding more and more data silos.
Tom, from your perspective, anything to add?
I would say that, data is key, pun intended there. Essentially, with that, maybe three other kind of sub-bullets, really, one, you're gonna need some patience. Everyone has a plan on how to integrate a data source, and then you see what the API looks like. So that's one aspect. Secondly, communication.
I think it's essential.
Yeah, communication is essential. Honestly, in terms of just giving progress updates to your management, as well as speaking with the team in the trenches, honestly, it will really help bring the best performance and products to the surface. And then lastly, I'd argue, if it weren't obvious already, that you shouldn't really just try and aggregate your data, put it into your data cloud, and then look at it under a microscope. If you're going through all that effort to manage the inbound, manage the warehouse, then overlay your BI tool, you might as well take all of that and make that work for you. Set up your team so that they can leverage and reverse ETL, export that, and activate that data.
For years, marketing teams have struggled to operate from a single view of the customer and their business. Essential to powering personalized experiences and measuring impact on key KPIs. Did you know that just over half of marketing decisions are influenced by data, and that nearly 59% of CMOs report increased pressure from their CEOs to prove the impact of their marketing efforts? That's why Snowflake dug into this topic with their modern marketing data stack report, aimed to enlighten how marketing leaders can best equip their teams to activate decisions with data. Let's hear from Snowflake's CMO, Denise Pearson.
What created this report was there's a big demand for advice and information on how to build your marketing data stack. So we took a look at over 6,000 customers over the last year, and we were looking at which technologies and applications are they using for things such as analytics, identity, machine learning, etc. And we found about 70 different technologies and companies that they were using, and they're all included in this report that we're announcing here today.
Okay, let's get Snowplows' take.
Well, I think there's so much potential to use data, and the modern marketing stack provides so many opportunities to take data and optimize every different part of the marketing value chain, all different kinds of campaigns targeting different sorts of users at different points in their life cycle. Given all that possibility, my first piece of advice is to be pragmatic. Don't try and boil the ocean. Don't try and do everything all at once. Don't try and run.
There is a tendency to do that.
Oh, I've seen it done so many times, and it's really understandable, but it's a real failure mode. Focus first on where do you think the biggest difference can be made? Is it around customer acquisition? Is it around customer retention? Is it around upsell? And then what sorts of customers do we want to be focused on targeting? So be very commercially minded about where to focus. Then once you've picked a particular area to focus, start slowly and work up to more and more data sophisticated approaches. If you're looking at more sophisticated approaches to targeting, start with broad segments and rule-based targeting before graduating to smaller segments and machine learning-based targeting. If you're taking more data-driven approaches to measure the impact of marketing spend, start with simpler first-click, last-click linear approaches before moving to algorithmic or mixed media models. So being pragmatic, I think, is the first piece of advice I'd say. The second is relentlessly measure the impact of everything you do and socialize it. I think we're very good, data people, marketers are very good at measuring the impact of what they do, but they often forget to socialize.
That's as equally important to point one.
Oh, 100%. Because businesses as a whole are trying to get more and more data driven. If there are people in one part of the organization who don't know about success in another part, they don't have the opportunity to learn and embed those sorts of practices in those sides of the business. And it's important that if the marketing team is having success with this, that it's well understood so that they can go out and win more investment for these sorts of approaches. So socializing is really important. The third piece of advice is around cross-functional teams. Using data as a team sport, you need the data specialists, you need the data engineers, the data scientists, the analytics engineers, and the analysts to work closely with the lines of business, particularly with the marketers. And they've got to be one team. You can't be batting stuff over the fence or across the wall. They've got to be working together, iterating, learning, and using the data to deliver better experiences for users and better value for the business. And that's a joint effort. And the last piece of advice I'd say is don't forget about the data. There's a tendency, to go use a sexy new tool to go do some sexy new analysis, but that's only as good as the data you're feeding it. So really make sure that you've got the underlying data to fuel all your different data-driven ambitions.
Hey, I'm struggling with some jet lag from this episode, but luckily the coffee's kicking in. I really enjoyed our time together. I'm Ryan Green with Data Cloud Now. We'll see you soon.